It's a song about identifying with that inner demon, facing it, growing from it, understanding that, you're gonna go through shit in life. That's it. I mean, that's the bottom line. You're not gonna live life happy every single day. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with going through bad things. But that song really encompasses the feeling of growing from those things. There's the line, it's the drop into darkness inside that makes us who we are. Sometimes we have to destroy ourselves just to find the light inside. That's a personal reference to, my own personal destruction at one point. I struggled with addiction and alcoholism for a long time. And that's a lot of what the album's about as a whole, which is why, I included so much of it in From a High Cliffs We Fall. It's the first track you hear. And, I had to battle those demons and, fight those shortcomings to come up as the person that, I am today. I had to go through hell to write this album. And I wouldn't change a thing about it.
If you've been to hell and back, and if you haven't, if you've ever had anything that really made you feel weak, and not physically weak like you couldn't push something, but just you felt weak. And you're not the only one, which is pretty cool because that's one of the main lyrics in the song.
We, as human beings, have to go through hell to move on, to grow as individuals.
So I went in the vocal booth and had no idea what I was even going to sing for it. I just had a whole paper there full of lyrics that I had to track. So I had Paul play it a couple times, and just trying to get a really good feel for the song. And it starts off really soft, and it's one of those things I really wanted to play with my voice and kind of get a really interesting dynamic for it. So I chose to sing really low, and because I want to have a good progression in this song. Right before that big drop, the drop into darkness. At that point, the vocals and everything just kind of explodes, and I think it's a perfect introduction to the album, just for that specific reason. I'm not really used to singing. I've never really been a singer, so this song is kind of a cool showcase of all of the different ranges that I've kind of learned to be able to do for this album. I'm learning every single time I come into this vocal booth, and it was really cool to do this.
And
one.
The whole song really hits you, and it really shows the range of our singer's voice, and we have a melodic screaming. Screaming doesn't have to be this guttural sound of a person yelling. It can be melodic too. And that's what we really want to try and do. We want to change people's concepts and thoughts on what a hardcore band is. It's not about labels, realistically. It's about the things that people get out of the songs.
God, will anyone miss me? God, will anyone miss me?
Hallow Bastion. Hallow Bastion is probably one of the more personal songs on the album. It's about my cousin, Matt. In September 2013, Matt passed away from a heroin overdose. He'd been struggling with addiction and, to drugs, alcohol, and other things for a long time, ever since he was little. And, I can relate to that a lot because that's who I am as a person. I struggled with those things as well. And when he died, it took me so off guard. And he was a huge fan of, this genre of music, the heavier end of music. And he was a really big fan of Vice and Virtue. So, I wrote a song. Hallow Bastion is completely about him. It's about, there's lines in it of things that he said to me. He said at one point that his life had fallen to pieces. And that's a line in the intro to the song in the beginning. The other one was When I'm Gone, Will Anyone Miss Me? And that actually is that's a line from his personal journal that his dad and I found when we were going through his stuff. He would always write stuff like that. And I really wanted to write a song that could convey the emotion and the emotional turmoil of what he was going through as an individual, because it's unfathomable unless you have struggled with something like that. And it's really hard to imagine that feeling of complete aloneness, but there's still millions and millions of people who suffer from that. Another part of it is my perspective on it. That he's up wherever he's at with his mom, who also passed away when he was a young child from cancer. But Hallow Bastion was a song that I wrote at it was a huge point for me in my life when I wrote that song. Vice and Virtue is not a Christian band. We're not a religious band. We don't hold any names like that. We're just people that make music that we love. But I myself would consider myself a fairly spiritual person. And when my cousin died, I had another friend that died down here back in Florida, and had a real hard time with my spirituality. I had a real hard time with you could call it faith, call it what you want, but I had a hard time believing in any of that. And so Hallow Bastion is it means holy fortress, and it was a really good coping mechanism for me personally, and it gave me a lot of closure in a situation which was really tough. Personally, I've lost countless amounts of friends, acquaintances, people I know, family members in my life, as have many other people. And I've never been one that really dealt with it. So for the first time ever, actually, I channeled it all into the song Hallow Bastion. And and Hallow Bastion, it's got a really intense feel in the beginning, and it's a song that goes from, it starts off really drivey and really heavy and fast-paced, in relation to maybe how I was feeling during that instance, and it breaks open and it changes the tone to a little bit happier, and it comes to this point in the song where the lyrics are, I kind of forgot them off the top of my head, but suffering's an option. The line is, the pain is inevitable, but suffering's an option. I won't suffer anymore. I'm a firm believer that like I said, pain is inevitable in life. You're gonna feel pain. You're gonna feel sadness. You're gonna feel anger. You're gonna feel happiness, joy, all that stuff, love, whatever. But suffering is, in my opinion, not a human emotion. So I had this opportunity with my cousin passing away to either sit there and suffer through it or grow from it as an individual, and I ended up coming out of it, the whole situation, a bigger person, a better person.
A lot of these songs were written way before I was even in the picture, and this was one of those songs that was written before I was even in the band, and as most of the songs are. And I could tell, especially Nick told me time and time again before I tracked this, that this is the song that really meant the most to him almost. I know all these songs carry a lot of weight and a lot of meaning behind them, but Hallow Bastion carries so much meaning, and it's honestly my favorite song on our entire album lyrically. It really is. It's heavy hitting, and these lyrics, you can relate to all of them. We've all lost people, and this song was something that was really special for me to sing on.
It translated means holy fortress, which some would construe as heaven. We are not a directly Christian or religious band, but that doesn't mean that you can't believe in the firm values that come with religion. There's a line that starts off with the song, or the entire song starts off with this line, and it's, "When I'm gone, will anyone miss me?" And I don't know if you've ever thought about that before. That's a pretty almost depressive thought process. It's not about when someone dies, missing them, or mourning them even. It's almost about celebrating what time they did give you. And even though no one will be around forever, doesn't mean that they can't leave a legacy.